Step 29. The engine. Yesterday I received this box. It contains a Stinger 30T. It's the motor, the engine, that's supposed to go into that little model. Let's have a look at what is in this box. And here we have the engine and everything that comes with it. The engine is a RCGF Stinger 30 cubic centimeter twin. It's a boxer, so there are two cylinders. They are quite small. This is a 30 cubic centimeter motor, but each cylinder is only 15 cubic centimeters. These are really tiny. We have two exhaust chambers, and they fit here. These are engineered so that they will be in line even though the cylinders are not completely in line. So there will be nothing pushing onto the cowling. There are two tubes for the exhaust, and these are rings to hold those on. The spark plugs, there are two of them, and they are absolutely tiny. I've never seen so small spark plugs before. These of course fit here, and give the spark. These are gaskets for the mufflers, and then there are these bolts. They're M5, and they're supposed to hold the engine on whatever you want. These standoffs come with them, but I will not be using these because these tiny standoffs are actually too large for me. Then we have the ignition. It's a double ignition, of course, one for each spark plug, with all its leads. This one goes to the sensor, this one goes to the battery, and this one can be connected to a tachometer. The ignition can take electricity from 6 volts to 14.4 volts. I don't think I'll be using that much, but we'll see. So now all we have to do is fit this into the model. Here we can see how the engine is supposed to sit on the plan, and from the front of the engine mounting to this back of the motor we have about 7 or 8 millimeters. So the only thing we have to do, well, we can't use these standoffs because they are 22 millimeters. So we just make up a little plate that fits onto here and lifts the motor, the engine, this distance. Here's the box that bolts in the front of the model onto the firewall, and the motor, the engine, sorry, bolts onto this. Now, as we've already said, this is too short, so we have to put something underneath, and here I've got this plate that I just place like this. It's made of plywood, and then I can put bolts into these T-nuts that you see here on the other side of the firewall, or the motor mount. So this comes like this, and here we have the motor, the engine, bolted onto the mount, the engine mount. Now this was supposed to be fastened onto the firewall with screws, and also screws in here, but I don't like screws like that. I like 3mm bolts, so I substituted M3 bolts for the screws and put T-nuts on the other side. Now I can bolt this onto the firewall, and this is not going to go anywhere. Now I can bolt the engine mount up to the firewall. Here we are. There are 3mm nuts in there, and I can bolt it on. But before I do that, I have to put in a tank, and here I have a 500ml tank that I got from Sleck in the UK, and this cradle made specially for this tank. Now I just slide this cradle in here and glue it down, and so the tank will be in place, and then I can bolt this on. Here we have the engine mount, just about ready. I've got 2 bolts holding the engine down, and I've fitted a servo for the throttle. Some kind of wire will be used to control the choke. I've put the leads for the engine servo and the ignition battery here, and the ignition is now stationed here at the side of the engine mount. These leads now go to the little spark plugs. So this is now ready to be mounted onto the fuselage when I have finished plumbing the tank. The tank has now been installed, and the fuel tubing has been installed, 2 up here and 1 down here. These 2 come down to the bottom of the fuse and out through there. I will shorten them a little bit later on. This one goes to the carburetor down here and into the intake on the carburetor. So now I can bolt the engine onto the model. There we have the motor installed with everything that it needs: fuel tubing, throttle servo and the lot. I will, however, have to remove it again because I have to cover the model with some covering material, etc, etc. So this is not permanent, but it will be, and it fits, and it is absolutely beautiful. There we are.